Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming on this cold night. We were worried about getting a quorum, and you guys have just rocked those numbers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Us hardy Minnesotans, you know. We are also on Zoom this evening, so anytime you want to say something, we ask that you wait for a microphone so that those on Zoom can hear what's going on. Otherwise, they hear silence, so they don't get to hear. So anytime we do that, one other housekeeping is because I'm so bad with names, if you're going to speak, say, I, Sandy Pence, so that, especially if you're going to make a motion, so that we can get it down on the records correctly. I know your names, but I may not be able to pull it out of my hat at the right time. So, it's now 6 o'clock or thereafter, and we shall now start with prayer. Father, you are a good, good God. Your faithfulness, you are true and faithful to us. We just thank you for your mercies. I am just in awe of how you love us and how you care for us. So Lord, now I ask that you would be with us as we go through the business of your church. Help us to be discerning and wise in what we do and what we talk about and how we talk about it. And we just give you all the praise. In Jesus' name, amen. So, I'm calling for a quorum. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That is such a good thing. I hope you've all had a chance, because we've sent out this packet in advance, that you've had a chance to read the minutes and see if that's what we did the last 2 times we met. We do have one correction on our paper copy that has been fixed in the official records in the computer, and that is on the finance report. It had $5,200 a month to cover our budget for this year, for 2024, and it needs to be $52,000. So if you add another 0 onto that page of the finance report, that'll correct that on your copy. Officially, it's already been fixed. So I'll give you a few minutes to go ahead and read, and then if somebody is ready to make a motion on the meetings, please do so. Raise your hand and somebody will run after you with a microphone, or we'll just catch your name. April.
Good job following the rules, April.
It's still up there, Chris.
Okay, there we go. Are we voting on both minutes meetings on the same time, or are we just doing the semi-annual?
We can do both.
Okay, then on the special business meeting notes, the quorum check, 32 out of 124 regular attendees or attenders. Do we do regular attenders or do we do members? So,
Missed that one.
You're right, it is members.
What was this on?
Are you making the notes in back?
Was that April? Was that special business?
the special business.
Special business meeting.
July 30th,
Keep going, turn.
the back page.
Probably page like 7 or 8-ish.
They're not
Nope, next one. Yeah, I know.
Oh, here it is. It's a short one.
Yep. Quorum check, 32 of 124 members.
Okay. So we'll amend, then let's do separate,
Okay.
because there's a correction on this.
Good job, April. It was a test. You passed. Unless there's any other discussion, I, Chris Cox, move to approve the semi-annual business meeting minutes.
Bill Marshall, second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried. Thank you. And now we'll have it on the special business meeting with a correction.
I, April Gustafson, move that we approve the modified minutes, right, or corrected minutes for the special meeting from July 30th.
Okay, is there a second? Okay,
Reno Wells, second.
gotcha. All right. Any discussion on that one? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you. I jumped ahead. We missed all of our prayer and praise items this evening. It's my last one. What do you expect? And I can start out with a prayer and a praise for our granddaughter who was in a really, really, really bad car accident Christmas Eve morning, where when they found her, she was unresponsive. She was air flighted from Bemidji to Sanford in Fargo, where she was sedated with a brain bleed that had caused a stroke. Broken ribs, chest bone, collapsed lung, broken femur, the whole 9 yards. Her face was untouched. Not a scratch to be seen. And it's been 3 weeks, and she is doing amazing. She has an amazing amount of time ahead of her because of the stroke. They said it could be up to 2 years before we know the full extent of where she's going to be forever. And so prayers are greatly appreciated. She's only 23, and it's very difficult, needless to say. I could go on and on and on, but I'm done. But I'm just thankful she's alive. She is responding well without all the sedation that made her crazy. When I left on Saturday, I said, I'm leaving, I'm gonna go home for the week, are you glad? That was her yes, because she's not talking yet, because she has a trach with a ventilator in the trach right now. And I asked her again, and the same thing again. So her mind is working, and that's a good thing. So.
What is her name?
Regan. Right. Yep. And as soon as she can speak, she will tell all the nurses exactly what her name is. Reagan, how you doing? Reagan. So, anybody else?
I'll just take a minute to praise God on this church, and the last year has been a whole lot. 2022 October, when we lost John, and then Jared took a new call in December of that year, so 2023 was a lot. And I am super privileged to be able to work here full-time and help out. But like Sandy and so many others on the team have said, there's been a whole lot in the last 2-3 years that could have and very well should have brought the church down. But God is here, and it's awesome.
Yeah. God definitely has a plan for this body. He's got a plan. And if we don't falter from him, we'll reap the benefits of that plan. So, anybody else? You got to hold it up closer. We
Okay.
can't hear you.
I'm very accomplished at this. Yeah, right. I'd just like to thank the congregation for the outpouring of love that was bestowed upon our family this past year. We're relatively new to Calvary, but the blessings of prayers and the love that has been shown upon us, we just can't thank you guys enough. So, brothers that are in Bible study with us, and everybody else, thank you so much. God bless you all.
Just a quick one. I had a chance to have a phone call with Bonnie Frankie, who's down in Arizona right now. Some of you know her husband Norm's facing some major medical stuff going on, and it is just an awesome thing when people go through that kind of stuff, and they just know people are praying for them and people are checking in. And same with Diana Pratt, just came through knee surgery. Just to be part of a body is a really big deal. So.
I'm Tina Peterson, and I just give praises. I'm your finance chair, and I've just seen God work so heavily through you to us. And I know that we have a building project on the horizon, and I just see how He is financially setting us up. So just thank you for your prayer on that, for your gifting. And I'm excited to see what's to come of that. And also, just personally, I'm thankful for Greg and I are in a season of caregiving for our folks, specifically for his 97-year-old mom. And she's a gem. And when you surrender all that you have, it just gets a lot easier. So, and we've just been totally blessed to be in her presence. So, amen for that.
Okay, thank you very much. I know a lot more has happened that's not being said, however. But I do thank you to those who did share. We need to adopt the agenda. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda? Nope. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Anybody? Okay, Sarah. Second, Scott Gustafson seconded. So, all right. Is there any more discussion on that? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. First exciting business we have is voting in new members, and we have a nice crop of them, so to speak. Bethel and Jason Adams, Phil Cox, Judy Cassette, John and Reva Sparks, Janet Stein, and Dewey and Esther Vesta. The elders are recommending, so Tim? Okay, is there a second to that? Reno seconds it. Okay, very good. Any discussion? Of course, Ken. For those that are here, stand? Okay. That was our discussion. Okay. If you're here, yay. Janet Stein is in the back. Bethel and Jason and John and Reva are here. So please welcome them. Oh, all right. We have a motion and a second, and I don't understand what you're asking, Reno, again.
We're gonna pass this plate around,
All we want for you to do is do the blue one.
drop the blue ones in there, and
Yep.
we'll continue business.
Mr. Roberts' rules, I don't understand. Okay, while they're counting ballots, we're going to go on to reports, and we'll start off with the elders.
Good evening. I'm Tim Kastenbauer, the elder chair. So my written report is before you there, but I'm just gonna kind of hit some highlights tonight. I'd like to echo what Chris said. Starting the year was it looked pretty daunting, and we're talking about where we move ahead from here, and we were talking with Interim Pastor Ministries about options for getting an interim pastor there, and then we had some personal connections, and were able to hire Pastor Ken relatively quickly, which was just a huge blessing to our elder board. We just prayed over it, and it was just a huge blessing from the Lord that He brought Ken to us so quickly, and it's just been a really good experience. And Ken is grinning. We've had a lot of good laughs, and it's just been a blessing to have him. But praise to God for just taking such good care of our church. He knew what we needed even before we started looking for it. So it's been great. So one of the things that I just wanted to touch on is Ken has helped walk us through a church spectrum, which we just kind of looked at churches in general, from a very small church that's dying to a very large church that's not only just growing and large, but like very tech savvy and all of these things, and kind of like all the churches in between, and where do we think Calvary is, where do we want to go, all of those kind of things. And I was just excited through all of our discussion and prayer that the elders basically all just came to the same conclusion, that we want to grow, we want to be kind of in the middle of that spectrum, but we want to do it God's way, and that's through discipleship. And that's kind of the key thing that keeps rising to the surface with all of our discussion is discipleship. And then kind of breaking that down, what does that look like? We've talked about there's just many different ways to disciple people, through personal relationships, one-on-one, where people are growing, they come to church, they find kind of their mini flock, and they grow through that. And then there's the large group programs and activities and different things, and we've kind of talked about all of those things, and God has just kind of revealed to us the importance of discipleship, and partially what we've been missing here at Calvary is discipling and training people to turn around and to disciple the next person that disciples the next person. And so how that relates to the church spectrum that I was talking about is that we would love to see a building project and for there to be, lots of numbers and all that kind of stuff, but we want it to happen God's way through discipleship, and not to just build a big building and have a fancy Sunday morning kind of thing. So we're all excited about that. So I'm going to jump through my notes here. I'm going to skip down here. So I'll hit this first. So that's what has led us to, we made the announcement that we'd be looking for a discipleship pastor. Somebody, we would like to have a pastor that is able to train, but not only able to train, but somebody that really has a passion for discipleship, that can be an example as well as we all come alongside and work towards that end. So along with these things, we've been talking a lot about the structure of our leadership. And I just want to take a minute to kind of explain. Most people maybe aren't interested in this, but part of what has taken up a lot of our discussion is prior, our leadership structure with our three pastors, Mark and John and Jared, they were kind of like co-pastors that all answered to the board. And under that structure, as we went along through the years, there were things about that was really good, and there are things about that caused confusion or just a lack of structure, I would say. Hard to communicate, knowing who's responsible for what things, and then for elders coming on too. If we're to do pastoral reviews and that kind of stuff, it's, kind of where do you start? Like, who's in charge of what type of a thing? And so what we have moved toward now is a lead pastor model where we have a lead pastor, and then we have another pastor that would work under that pastor's guidance. And then down from there would be the church administrator. So we made the announcement on Sunday recently that we asked Mark to be the lead pastor, and he accepted that. And so we're excited to move forward with a new structure, and that will also just kind of help this new pastor that we hired to find his place, come underneath Mark's leadership, and we can move forward with more structure there. So we're just excited to see, I guess, what God is going to do in the future here. Like Chris said, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy 3 years, really. But we feel like we're finally getting to that place where God has given us some clear answers to go with and some clear direction. And we have a really good team, and we're all excited about that. My term is up, I believe. I need to confirm this, but Bernard is going to be the elder chair, correct? Okay, so Bernard Weidenborner will be the next elder chair. And I just want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to serve, and for the grace that's been extended from all the guys on the board as I've learned my position and my role, and tried to be helpful and all those things. So, and we're also, pending voting, all this official stuff, excited for Stephen Ware and Chris Cox to come on the board as well. And those guys will have a lot to offer, and they're very mature spiritually, and we're excited to just move forward with that team. So does anybody have, I think somebody is touching more on the pastoral search, so if there's questions there, the structure of it and all of that, if there's questions, they may be answered. But as far as our leadership structure or anything goes, does anybody have any questions? Or any other questions? Yep. Oh, thank you. Anything I missed? All right, easy crowd again.
Well, good evening, and thanks so much for coming out tonight on a cold night. And I just had a feeling we were going to have a good turnout tonight, and we really did. And I know it's cold weather, but it's just an expression of your commitment to this congregation, not just on a night, but over the last year, as Tim mentioned, over the last many years. And so we're just thankful tonight to look around and see folks who are relatively new to the community, new to the congregation, new to membership, and also a lot of you who the new rubbed off a long time ago. And you're still playing the game. You're still running plays, so thank you for that. Sandy could give my release time message to kids this week when she said, God has a plan. This year for elementary kids, we're taking them through the life of Joseph. And every time we meet with the kids on, we have one chapter, and I always boil down what the lesson is to basically 5 words or less. And it always starts with God is, or God does. And this week's is God has a plan. And what's interesting to me as you read through his life story, for a very broken family and a very troubled group of people, most of the time when you're in the middle of it, you don't really know what God is up to. And the chapter I was prepping for today, there's a bunch of brothers who know they've done wrong and they know they're in need, and they're pretty sure that God is getting ready to drop the hammer on them, because when they blew it big. And yet in reality, God wasn't getting ready to drop the hammer on them. He was in the process of rescuing and saving them. So to be able to tell that to kids or to adults who come in on a Wednesday or on a Sunday morning or during a youth group event who maybe have little or no background with the Lord, or have confused ideas about who God is, that's a really great privilege. And I'm just really grateful to be here doing what we're doing. And just super grateful to look back on the team and think where we were a year ago, January. I think in my first sit down with Ken at, I think it was at a Burger King in Bemidji. And just to see where the Lord has brought us and who the Lord has brought to us with all the additional new staff hires and just the spirit and energy in here is super grateful. And don't be too tough on Chris on like order of business, because like he put a gazillion hours into tonight. You know, a little bit of stretch, but he put his work in, and he's been a tremendous addition. And it's just really great to see the way a new team has emerged by the grace of God. And Ken's been a tremendous gift and encouragement and coach for all of us and going through all that. So we are super grateful to you, Ken. You've been a blessing from God. And and also a big blessing to be able to look around at just our team of leaders, elders, both presently serving, those coming off, those coming on, a new group of individuals who are going to be going through our elder and training process. Super thankful for that. And for ministry team as well, people who are concluding terms, people who are stepping into new roles. We're just super thankful. You know, and I'll just throw one in there since we just voted in new members. Bill Marshall went through our elder and training program. He's not on the elder ballot tonight. He's going to be on the ballot for something else. But I was looking for somebody to co-lead our newcomers class, and he jumped. And when he jumped, he just jumped all in and did a great job, and I'm just super thankful for that. Thankful for the Lord's generosity through all of you to be able to look back on this year and just see how God has provided above and beyond our needs is just really an awesome thing, and we're thankful for that. Just really thankful for our elder team, the way they really took their time and prayed through the whole examination of our church structure process, what all of our roles would be, including mine, and just very humbled by stepping in a lead pastor role, but also super excited about it. Just very thankful. One of the ways I get through wintertime up here is to go to basketball games and wrestling meets. And I love that time right before the game and right before the meet when all the kids are like revved to get going. And that's kind of how I feel when I come on Sunday mornings or show up on Monday mornings. And I'm very thankful for that, just to be able to play ball, so to speak, with everybody that God has brought here in all different kinds of capacities and from all kinds of different backgrounds. It's very thankful for that. And I'll say this too. Just everything our family's been through over the last several years. We lost 3 parents and John in the course of a couple of years. And I'm just very thankful for the gospel, for Jesus, for the Holy Spirit, for good news, for a God who is merciful, and to be able to share that with other people and then hold on to it for yourself. I'm just super, super thankful for that. And and for the way this body has been a blessing to us and to see it be a blessing to others. So I want you to know, I'm not just grateful to get to like work here or preach here. I'm just glad to be here and thankful for your ministry to our family over these last couple of years, especially. I have a written report. You can read it later if you need something to put you to sleep. But you know, I have more that I would share that would ever fit in a report, because honestly, the stuff that I wish I could give to all of you is the stuff that I get to see, that's people doing ministry and stuff that most of the flock doesn't get to see. You know, seeing a young lady come in, desperate circumstance, homeless last week, and see the way Judith interacts with her. That to me is a gift of God. It's a gift to the community, and it's evidence of just God's grace in touching somebody's life in a super high need situation. To be out in Onegum last summer and see Wes Brooks put this together, and how many people from Calvary just want to be there to bless kids and bless families and praise God and just see what the Lord works together through people's lives. As I mentioned, Bill, jumping into newcomers class. Being a newcomers is a blessing, to get to hear people's life stories and their questions and their backgrounds. It's a tremendous gift. And I'll wrap up with just the last one. When you're up here, you get to see who's new, you know, because like most of you on Sunday mornings, you're looking this direction, and the worship team and a few others get to look out. So I get to see, like, who is that? And, oh, they showed up. And what are they doing here? And we've had a string of teenagers showing up whose parents aren't here yet. And we've got a person in church who is super good at inviting her friends to Calvary on Sunday morning, even though that's not their background. And the Spirit of God is blessing her initiative, and she doesn't even have a driver's license yet. And then, yeah, amen. And I got to meet with a guy, a couple who are getting married, and I've known him since he was a kid, and his family's never been connected here in a significant way, but he's got connection with somebody in church through business life in the world, and he said something like, you know, I don't really go to church, but if I was going to go somewhere, I'd go to Calvary. I'm just like, hey, you're here now. Let's play ball. So anyway, just very thankful for the goodness of God, and thank you for all being part of that and being here tonight. Thank you.
The reason I was smirking as you were talking, Tim, is didn't it occur to you guys to ask why am I unemployed if I can bring something to the church? Just teasing about that. But God's done good things. It's been a joy to be here and serving. Just want to affirm something that, Sandy, you've been great as chair. The wide body may not realize how much time Sandy and Tina put in on the front end of my ministry as we were doing interviews for the church administrator, working with replacing Lori. You two ladies just stepped it up, and thank you for that. Burger King. I bought, by the way. You owe me. As I mentioned at the semi-annual, it's just it's a new experience to co-minister in this capacity as an interim with a long-standing pastor, and it's just been a joy to work with you, Mark, and it's just been smooth. And God's blessed the relationship as well as the ministry. Grateful for that. And Tim, you've done really good as a board chair. You just have good leadership. Your direct questions, as we have discussed things, have been very much an asset. So appreciate your service, and we'll miss you on the board. For the report, just a couple things. Because I'm kind of outside eyes, I can see things that happen that sometimes you're not aware of in the body life. You're all aware, I think, that when I came in March, there was still a heaviness here. The church body was still seeking to rebalance after the loss of John and Jared. And there are things I look for. There's things I have intentionally wanting to target when I'm in a church, and there's things I look for. And one of those is just when the heaviness starts to lift. And for me, that happened, I was seeing that in April. And the body life returning and the enthusiasm and the confidence of ministry, I watched that develop. And I don't know that it was really gone. It just wasn't visible because of the heaviness. And the body has responded really well as God's been working in your midst. And I just want to make sure you hear that from me as I'm watching. There are things I'm watching for, and there have been some very positive things at the church. I always look for what I call rays of light. And some of those rays of light has been seeing some new faces, seeing new people wanting to be involved in ministry, to see the leadership engaging things at a really meaningful level with open, honest discussion, all of those things. And again, the body life. When I first got here, there weren't a lot of people loitering after the service. And now you won't leave. And that's good. I mean, it's just good to see the interaction. Those are some of the rays of light. I'm just excited for the future of the church. I'm excited for the future of the church for a number of reasons. One is because I know the God I serve. And he is faithful. He is at work. This church is under the headship of the Lord Jesus Christ, who seeks to make sure that it not only brings glory to God the Father, but also impacts lives for eternity. And so those are the constants. Those are the things we always go back to. But the body is energized, and just looking forward to the hire. We've done some work on sketching out what are the things that this church would need for future ministry from pastoral representation. And the top one was the discipleship pastor. And just to give you this encouragement, we had a Zoom meeting with some of the denominational leadership, and they were big thumb up for going into the discipleship pastor, because that will really work towards unlocking the potential of individuals in the body and the body as a whole. So I'm just excited about that. And but I do also want to continue to challenge the body for that to be achieved, for the potential of the body to be achieved. Everyone here that is faithfully come out for the business meeting, most of you, as I look around, are already vested in ministry, and I'm grateful for that. But we do need for this church to expand to its potential, for everyone to be invested in a solid ministry, one that God will bring from their efforts not only joy in their heart, but also great fruit for the kingdom. And so that's an encouragement. The second one is, as the elders wrestled through goals, church goals for 2024, one was just to do an assessment of the building, but there are two very significant ones, and we're going to drive into those throughout the year. One is outreach. One of the things this body lacks is intentional outreach. There are some programs that take place that invite outreach, but for individuals getting out and touching the lives of their loved ones, their neighbors, their work associates, we as a church need to make sure that we provide you the opportunities, the training, the encouragement, and the support. But that also has to be coupled then with just each member of the body grasping that this is for all the marvels, this is for eternity. And the people that you care about and that God puts you in contact with, he wants you to make a difference in their lives. And that's one thing that will need to be part of stepping forward and reaching the potential of the church. That's really the first stage of discipleship. And so that's been one of the goals that has been identified to help each individual in the body know how to share their faith, to give them the tools, and to encourage them and build them up so that they have the willingness to step forward. The second part of discipleship then is to help people grow in Christ. It's influencing and it's impacting lives for Christ. And we'll talk a little bit more. I'll be preaching here soon. I have a 3-week series on discipleship. But that's the next level. We don't have to wait for a pastor to do that. God has called you as his children to intentionally touch lives not only of unbelievers, but also of those that are around you in the church that just need encouragement, need you to just walk with them and to help them as they wrestle through life and how to apply godly principles in real time, in real life. So those are things that the body is in great shape. It's a joy. Very, very good things happening here. But you always need to be looking at what's the next level. Where does God want us to be so we can really fulfill his purposes for us? And involvement in service, outreach, and discipleship, those are key things. And those aren't church-wide challenges. Those are individual challenges that are going to be manifest throughout the church. So just want to thank you again for the privilege of serving here. It's been, you've embraced me, you've welcomed me, and I've been blessed by that. You've been a great encouragement throughout my time here. And we go on, right? Forward and upward. Thank you.
All right, some of us are a little shorter. Well, I'm Tina Peterson, been your ministry finance chair for a little bit, and it's been a pleasure. It really has. One of my gifts is in administration, and I like to bring things to order. And then sometimes when I've got them to order enough, then I like to move on to find the next thing that needs to be brought to order. But I've enjoyed this time because it was clear to me that there was things in church. Our church is here to grow us spiritually and to make disciples, but it also has a business aspect to it underneath it because you have staff and staff need to be paid. And there's rules and regulations when you have staff, and there's money coming in by the generosity of all of you, and there's rules and regulations of how to do that. So there's this undercurrent of business, and that promotes administration, and there's an order for all of that. So I know the Lord led me just at the right time to be here and to help with that. So I've been very grateful for that. Our big project this year was to be a part of getting a church administrator on board, and that has been a true blessing because the finance team had been operating in a day-to-day capacity, myself and my members, along with Sandy, and operating in a day-to-day capacity, helping make the business side of the church function and flow as it should. And it became obvious to me that we needed a person to do that. Lori did a great job, and she was our bookkeeper, and she moved on, and I do miss her. I think about her quite frequently. And but there are other things that need to be addressed more on a legal side, a professional side. So it was time to call for someone more like a church administrator to monitor all those things and take us through to the next level. So we've got Chris on board, and then the finance team were tying up some loose ends, and they were able to step back and now kind of look more on an eagle eye view at the finances. And our new team structure will look a little bit different this year. We'll be kind of sectioning off, and someone will be more proficient in our insurance. in our QuickBooks, in our investments, meaning that they'll just have an extra added duty to walk alongside Chris and make sure that we are investing to the best of our ability, that we have the best insurances. I mean, these are built into Chris's job description, but as part of our finance team, we want to walk alongside him and consult with him in these different areas as well. One thing that our finance team decided to do this year is, it kind of goes to what Ken was saying, that, you know, people come to Christ for different reasons, different hardships, and one of those is finances and it's money. And it's a pretty big one. In 2004, I created a nonprofit in Park Rapids and operated that for about 10 years. And our goal was to do life skills for at-risk youth, and it was also to do just basic finance education to those who needed it so that they could get off the financial crazy cycle and let the chips fall where they lay so that they can, again, build back up financially. So one of our finance team goals is to put together a couple classes this year with Chris, and I will be charging that up and just extending basic finance, budgeting, education to the community to just get them off the crazy cycle. And so we feel very rest assured that the Lord's going to bring us just the right people, if it's 2 or if it's 20, that it'll be a way for us to do outreach, let people know about the Lord, discipleship to them, and meet them where they're at in their finances. So we're excited about that. So it's more in my report that you can read, but I'm kind of a numbers girl. So let's go to the balance statement that's in your packet there. And I just want to share with you the goodness of what the Lord has been doing for us and leading us in preparation for, well, our ears are still wide open, but we know He's preparing us, and we're moving in the right direction. So I'd like to just briefly go through our assets because I want to make a note that we have no liabilities. Yeah, so God is good that way. So I just want to run down the list in short order. I'm going to start with Calvary's Global Outreach account. This is our missions checking account with a balance of $10,000. I'm going to round it off, $900. We have money set aside for operational funds in a certificate of deposit at the $104,000. We have another CD that we have put aside and have dedicated that towards a building fund for about $46,000. We have a CD set aside also for another building fund in the amount of $70,000. We recently, and this has been new since our semi-annual meeting, right, Chris? Yeah. We've moved $120,000 out of the general fund because we didn't need it there. And we wisely invested it with a company called Christian Investors Financial. And just want to, because it's a little bit different than what we have been doing. We've been sticking with First National Bank of Walker. And after that, we did a little bit with Citizens Financial out of Park Rapids. John Martin, who's with our church here, helped us manage that. But Christians, CIF, we call them. I just want to kind of give you a few bullet points about what they're about. But they partner with individuals and churches who desire to grow God's kingdom. Don't you love putting money where it's when you know that, right? Let's see here. They they take our investments, other churches' investments, and help fund other church loans. So, for example, if in the future we do a building campaign or a building project and we borrow funds perhaps from them, other churches are kind of holding us up in the investments they make with CIF. They partner with churches to help, I just said it, finance their real estate needs. And bottom line is we're helping each other grow, and we're helping all each other grow God's kingdom. So that is a new investment for us. We have our Compassion account. They have a separate checking account, about $15,500. And where it says First National Bank of Walker, undedicated funds, this is our general account, which we pay our day-to-day bills and also pay our payroll with a balance of $90,000. And then Also, within this account, we have separated funds for the building fund of $33,000. We have some money dedicated to family ministry still for $1,500. Some special dedicated money to fellowship for $2,471. We rent out our Hope House, and those monies have compounded to almost $14,000. And we also have some youth ministry money, comes in by the youth, goes out by the youth. So that is currently an asset of ours used for them at almost $72,000. So bottom line is we have $516,000. And you'll see that we have fixed assets, buildings, church building, Faith House, Hope House, furnitures, fixtures, worship equipment, and vehicles, about $2.1 million. So I might mention again that we have no liabilities. That we have total assets of $2.6 million. Praise us for that. All right, I'm going to jump into our year-to-date for 2023. Estimated income and expenses. We haven't closed out our 2023 books yet, but we'll be doing that shortly. Estimated income for January through December was $614,546. Our budget was $624,300. We didn't meet it. Again, a budget is a guideline. And our expenses for that same time period were $521,637. So definitely under budget as well. So not verified yet, but an estimate of a net in the plus of $92,000. Okay. In this new year, be in prayer for us, the finance team, because once we close our 2023 books, we will be deciding what are we going to do with that $92,000. You know, where are we going to put it for the biggest impact for the church, for growth? And yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. That's just a nice net income for the year. So be in prayer for us there. And that is an increase of over about $58,000 over last year's net income. So, any questions? Yes. Here it comes.
There is no expense sheet, just asking.
Pardon me?
There is no expense sheet. I see you've got the asset sheet here printed out, no expense sheet.
As in detailed for monthly expense sheet for
Well, usually an income statement has the assets, and as part of your income statement, it shows the expenses for the year.
For the entire year.
Broken down for the year.
If that's
different categories.
Yeah, typically we've not provided that, but if that's something that you want to look at.
I was just curious,
Sure.
that's all, because it just looked different.
You bet. Happy to share that if anybody would like to see that. Sarah?
I noticed that you contracted with an individual to help you with QuickBooks, and I was just a little curious about what that individual is going to do for you.
Great question. So QuickBooks has been a little bit of a struggle for us. You know, I'm not sure, does anybody work with QuickBooks other than us? Yeah. It is a struggle. And one of the things that struggles with churches is we have different pools of money. And that's a great problem to have because people give to where they're compassionate about, whether it's compassion or fellowship, building fund, those types of things. So that has been a little bit of struggle for us. Just in a quick example is you have regular giving, and then we build our budget based off that regular giving. So we say if we're going to have $624,000 that people give, this is how we're going to spend it. But then past all of that, you have the generosity of people that come in that say, I want to give this strictly for this. So learning how to bookkeep that coming in, coming out. We're getting closer to that. We've hired Bill Sargent, Jerry Sargent's sibling, and we're feeling really excited about what he tells us that he can help us get some of that stuff figured out. So he's the one that we're alluding to, that he's going to help us just make sure we've got everything in the right spot as we close out 2023 books, and provide future assistance when some of these odd things come up, that we can put them in the right category, they go in the right category, they come out the right category. So, great question. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, again, thank you for your generosity. Thank you that for listening to the Lord and how He's moved your heart accordingly. I continue to say I feel this undercurrent, this vibe that continued good things are coming, and I echo everything that Ken has said about the unity and just the peace and the vibrancy that I see running through the church. So, and I'll be back up to present the budget in a little bit.
Tina has worn 2 hats this year. She has also worn the hat of vice chair. And as I put, I think, in my report, that with her, she made me look good. Because she knows what she's doing. She was super, super, super helpful. We worked well together, and I do so appreciate that. My report was all administrative. All the different things we did, which is kind of the underside, so that all of that stuff is put together so that ministry can happen smoothly. And so I didn't work with the ministry aspect, but as chairman, it was mainly on the administrative. And it was good to see all those things accomplished this year. Because over the last few years and years to come, or years in the past, you know, you don't know what you need until you need it. And in the last few years, all these things started coming to the surface. And so now I think we've got them pretty well accounted for, so that ministry can just go ahead and do ministry and not have to worry about getting our ducks in a row for a lot of different administrative things. So that I do appreciate. Is there any other reports anybody would like to hear from? Mark? Oh, all right. Kara? Yes, no, go.
Hi, I'm Kara, if you don't know me, and I'm coming up to speak just a little bit about the children's ministry. So we have been through a little bit of transition too, just with Jared used to be kind of in charge of that committee, and so we had a leader, Nabil has been our leader for the last year, and he is now transitioning to some other things. So we are in a little bit of transition as we wait for what happens with leadership with the new possible pastoral things and possible new position of children's ministry. So we're just doing our thing in the middle. So I have really good news for all of you, lots of really good news. One piece of good news is we are rich in our congregation, rich with beautiful young children, and lots of them. They're beautiful and amazing and so wonderful to be with. I just love being with them. So I'm with them as much as I can be, just as they give me a lot of joy. So we have a lot of them. And with them come these amazing young parents who are just doing the best they can and loving their children, and they're very tired. And they just love it when we love their children. They really do. They're really appreciative, and they just love it when we, the church, love their children. It just warms them. I just see it on their faces when they know we love their children. I've had them tell me that. I love that you love my children. I'm not just there taking care of their kids. I love their children, and they know it. So that's just the good news. We have these wonderful, loving children and their parents. It is a blessing to give to their parents. And they don't have to use the nursery. People can keep their children, and for the children's church, but if they want to, it's there. The second piece of good news is we have some amazing people who love to do it just like me. And they love to serve down there. They love to teach children about Jesus and just love on them. So we have wonderful people. In the last couple of years, we've really gotten some great things ironed out. We have some really good policies in place and procedures to help us just keep things running smoothly the best we can. We've had to make a lot of adjustments because we've had a lot of changes in the last couple of years, just lots of changes in how many people are coming to church, how many families there are, and it seems like we're always changing. Every couple of months we have to adjust, and that's okay. That's just how it goes. But so we have a lot of, I think we have a lot of good things in place. We have some curriculum that's pretty just changeable for who's teaching. It can be very walk in and do it. It can be put a lot of interest, a lot of work into it, and be very prepared. Just kind of depends who you are. So we have a lot of really good things in place. So lots of good news for you. The last piece of good news for you is that there's room for you. Lots and lots of room for you. We have so many kids that we're full every week, pretty much full. So that's just the tiny little bit of bad news that I have, is that being full, we have had to turn some kids away from coming in, and we hate to do that. When families and kids want to come, we just want to have them come. But we also want to be really careful with our volunteers. We want kids to be safe, first of all. That's our top thing. We want kids to be safe. But we also want the volunteers to feel safe too, and not to leave just, worn out and exhausted and feeling like, I can't do this anymore. So we want them to feel good about their serving time. And so we've tried to make some boundaries with things. And so we've had to say no to some people, and we just hate to do that. So we're working on some solutions, but we're always working on solutions. What can we do? What can we do? So there's room. That's all I have to say. And if you know other people who aren't here, there's room. There is a little procedure to go through, some questions to answer, and some things to make sure that you're the right fit. But sometimes I've had people say to me, I have some issues. I don't bend down as far as I used to be able to. I can't lift. But even for the nursery, we're trying to have 2 people in there as much as we can. The second person can just sit on a chair and read a book. If there's 2 people, the first person can be the lifter, and the second person can just be the talker and pick up the toy, and you don't have to have both people that are the lifters. So if you're one of those people who are like, oh, I love little kids, but I'm worried that I can't carry them around if they're crying, come talk to me anyway. It's okay. We got a spot for you. So just all the good news, and there's room for you. So.
Having lots of kids is an exciting thing. It's an exciting thing. Thank you, Kara. Is there anybody else from the ministry teams that wanted to speak tonight? If not, they have written great things. Please read it. The vote on the new members was 100%. Welcome, unanimous, yay. And we needed to know that because we're going to go into some of the voting aspects now. So, the elder update on the Mark, you're coming up to talk about this next section, correct? All right, good.
Before I do my assignment there, just one quick note. Diana Pratt couldn't be here tonight. She was on the ballot for outreach. She's recovering from a knee replacement surgery. That's a ministry team that has not been active for a few years. As a ministry team goes, it's a rebuild. So she's super excited to be plugged into that, but obviously medical healing has to happen first. But be in prayer for her and for that team that will be coming together. There's already some really good plans in place for things happening in 2024. But like any ministry, takes a spirit moving in a body to get done what the Lord is looking to do in our community here. So moving into what I was going to be talking about, elders update. My role will be changing, some measure of transition. When the new discipleship youth pastor comes on board, I will be transitioning out of some of the youth and children's ministry oversight that I'm presently plugged into. I love and enjoy working with kids. Sometimes they're more fun than adults. If you haven't tried it, you should try it sometime. But other people are going to be taking responsibility for that, and one of the things that's going to give me more flexibility time to do is investment in leadership development as a congregation, which is hugely important across the board in every ministry that we have. And I've said this before, it's easy to get 50 people to stack chairs. It's hard to get one person to be responsible that the chairs get stacked. We've got lots of people who are willing to volunteer. What you're constantly looking for is a few people who are willing to lead and assume responsibility for that. So part of that's going to be what my transition and new role will entail in the year ahead here. Full-time discipleship pastor, we don't have a breakdown job description, position description for you in the packet here. That salary package is included within the overall budget that you'll be voting on, but in broad strokes, as Tim and Ken alluded to, their primary responsibility will be the development of discipleship in the congregation-wide, focusing on adults growing in their spiritual life. They'll also have secondarily supervisory responsibility for youth, children's ministry, and everything basically from nursery through all of our youth and kids ministries. So pray for them because they'll have their work cut out for them. But we're trusting that, just as we've said tonight, God has a plan. God already knows the right person. The right person is already out there. The Lord has already invested in them. They have already been prepared for the assignment that they're going to have. And we just have to patiently do our part to seek God's will, to see that need met. If you are interested in seeing a copy of that position description, contact Chris after the meeting and he can sure enough get that for you. Be in prayer. We are presently pulling together a search committee who will be initiating that process. Bill Marshall, if you vote upon him to be our church chair tonight, he will be, according to our bylaws, the point person on that committee. There'll be a couple elder representatives. There'll be some congregational representatives. When that team is fully pulled together, they'll be recognized on a Sunday morning and commissioned for that role. So we're not 100% there yet, but it's a work in progress, and we're just super excited to get that ball rolling. Did I mention I'm super excited to get that ball rolling? I am really excited. No offense, Ken. No hard feelings. But that's a ball that needs to get rolling. So, part-time children's education director, you will find a position summary for that in your report. It's a role that previously Tina Peterson had served in several years ago. It's a part-time position. There would be a point person. We're not looking to hire a teacher. We're needing to hire a principal, to use school terminology. We need somebody who will be capable of recruiting, training, equipping, overseeing these growing opportunities, as Kara put so well. So, incidentally, she did a really good job, man alive. Wow. I gave her like 10 minutes of warning, and she just pulls that off. I don't know how she does it. So, she's a pro. And finally, the last position in there, which is also included in the budget and which has a position description in your packet, is for a worship intern. Many of you are aware Lexi Fleming is going to be a little less visible around here for a little while because they're having a baby this summer and she's going to be on some maternity leave. It's going to be super exciting. So the goal of the worship intern would be to come in, have a preparatory period prior to assuming responsibilities for worship oversight and ministry, and then gradually kind of phasing that out as Lexi gradually works her way back in. But we do want to be clear on this. Our hope for the internship program is not just a worship intern for summer 2024, but that Calvary would make a part of its ministry bringing in probably college interns from Oak Hills who might serve in a variety of capacities in years to come, bring a benefit in the service that they provide for the church, but also an internship is meant to be a training, mentoring opportunity for future leaders. And so as you think about that, just understand we're not just looking at this summer alone, a one and done time, but that is part of an ongoing leadership development component of what we do at Calvary. So that's kind of my summary. Any questions? Okay, fabulous, because if you had questions, Chris was going to be on the spot. Okay, that is all I have. I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Super. Great. You all have a little pink voting slip. Now is the time to vote on these two positions. It'll be exciting if we can get, become an intern church.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were asking if we had any questions on the position descriptions. The children's ministry director, would that also include release time? Because it's not written in here.
Microphone. Sorry.
Front and center.
Yeah, it would include all of our children's ministry positions.
Okay. I just didn't see it listed under responsibilities.
Well, I believe it says, and others in there. Up at the top. Well, no, here we go. Up at the top. Program oversight includes nursery, Sunday school, children's church, release time, and potentially VBS. And whatever
others.
And whatever the elder board or staff or lead pastor deems worthy.
Yeah, it's that catchphrase, all other.
Good
Okay.
question. Other questions?
Okay. If
All right.
not, we need a motion and a second in order to make this official. I do have a question. Okay, Sarah's got a question.
Under role outline, it says regular Calvary attendance and willingness to complete membership if not already. Would it be helpful to possibly put a time frame, like within a year, if that's what you want?
Is there a time frame for what?
To become a member of Calvary if you're not already?
Yeah, we could. It kind of depends somewhat, just in terms of when classes are offered, so it might be easier to leave it open-ended, but we certainly could. I mean, we'd certainly talk about that, yeah. Yeah, that would be the intent, that well, let's put this first. They wouldn't be hired unless they were able to agree that they're in alignment with our doctrinal statement. So that would be a get-go from the beginning, then with an intent to move through the membership process.
Good question. Another one, April. No problem.
I'll just stand aside.
I just wanted to hear from Tina, because you had done this position and you had done it very well several years ago. Is 15 to 20 hours a week enough for this position? And then with all the responsibilities, including the Sunday morning services and coordination and stuff. Sorry, my husband's reminding me of what to say.
Okay, yeah, I did do it, and it was about 20 hours. And again, I'm administratively inclined, and I like things in order, so that might be something we're looking for. But I was able to do it in 20 hours, and it had a lot to do, too, of just taking your time and focusing on different things at different times. And once you got your volunteer base up and healthy, it just made it really easy. So then it was making sure you had the right curriculum and the right rotation of people. And there's always some back-end things as well, but I would say.
Thank you. And then I was also wondering about the compensation, if that is something that we have looked at other churches in our area, and that's what they go for it.
And that's a great question. So one of the things that I did is I took all compensation packages of all staff positions being proposed, and I did a ton of research for churchsalary.com. There's an executivepastor.com. I took into play local schools, county positions, all that, and assembled all the information, gave it to a compensation team of Tina, Sandy, and Tim Kastenbauer to review. accept, propose, here are the packages for all positions. So it wasn't me making decisions. I did all the research and just gave it to them so they can make the decision. So yes, that was making sure it was all in line.
Thank you so much for explaining that so that the congregation can hear all that went into that, and thank you for doing that work. One more question. Is there a reason this doesn't include nursery?
I think it does.
I thought it does on there, yeah.
If it doesn't, it will.
That first sentence. Yep. Yep.
It does include
in that first paragraph, yep.
Here it says kindergarten through 5th, down here,
Oh, yeah.
so.
The good, this summary position,
The summary and the responsibilities are not completely meeting up.
Yep.
In my mind, but that's.
it's not all encompassing and it does not restrict them from doing the said work. It is just an overview and a baseline, because once, like when my position was started, it was a good baseline of here are the duties and roles that we know need covered right now that we can all remember. But once I came on board, there was other things of like, oh, this needs to be done still and this needs to be done. So that is not restrictive. It's equipping and just pointing whoever's going to be in the right direction. Does that help? Yes. Okay, good. Mr. Reno?
Hi, Rena Wells, and the question that I had, I just wanted to clarify on the worship intern. You're not requiring church membership for that position,
No.
but we still are looking for an alignment of where we are. Okay, I just wanted to be sure on that, because I wouldn't think it would be proper for us to require them to join us in order to come here as an intern. Thank you.
Typically, that would be a short-term, less than a year commitment.
Good questions, good interactions.
Okay, one thing on the children's ministry director position, when Tina had it, she spent lots of time on policies and different things like that. And all that is now in place so that the new director will not have to deal with that. They just have to know what it is. So that will free up them to do their work with teachers and kids.
One other thing I will add is if you know people who we should be talking to about this, please let us know ASAP.
And then poke them at the same time.
Pray and let the Holy Spirit.
Right. So, okay, any other questions, discussions on these two positions? If not, then I entertain a motion.
Chris Cox, motion. I will motion. Chris Cox will motion to accept the positions. Kara Woodman seconds.
All right.
And to keep things organized, Reno, I love your idea of just raise a hand and all good, but because of the sheer quantities and making sure all votes are heard and counted, to keep things organized, fold, pass to your right. Steven's going to come in the middle section, collect. I will come in on the left section and collect.
Okay. Okay, while they're collecting that, our next business, excuse me, is under new business is voting in our ministry team leaders. And as heading up the nominating committee for these positions, had a great team as part of it. And I've been here for 40 some years, right? And I would say this was the easiest of getting people to become part of, or to become ministry leaders that I've seen in umpteen years. It was just like, yes, Lord, thank you. Because we know that he's got everybody in place here for what needs to be done. Are you going to answer his call? Are you going to answer his call? And the other thing is you don't have to do it like somebody else does it. Like, oh, I can never live up to so-and-so, how they're doing the job. You're not supposed to. God created you differently. You're unique. And so there are many different ways to do what the Lord wants us to do. So with that, we have a church chair, Bill Marshall, bless his heart, has said yes to being on the ballot. Bonnie Frankie in fellowship, Diana Pratt in outreach, and Tina Peterson, yes, one more time in finance. I guess I should ask if there is any members from the floor that would be nominated. And if you have somebody, I sure hope you talk to them in advance, because if you didn't, we're not going to listen. Okay. Could I have a motion and a second on the ballot of the ministry team leaders? Okay. Sid and Jerry, first and second, to approve the ministry team leaders. So everybody with, what is it, the green? Is it the green one? Okay. To vote on that? Okay. Okay, you people at home, I'm sorry you have to hear this, me and my confusion here. But, well, by the way, welcome everybody on Zoom. I did not welcome you earlier. I'm so glad you're part of us. Okay, new elder team, Stephen Ware and Chris Cox. They have fulfilled their elder in training year, and the elders are recommending that they become full-time elders for a term of how many years? 3 years? 3 years, and they can do it 30 times, I think? 3 times. Till death do you part. Can I have a...
Question?
Sorry, you're going to be mad at me for asking so many questions today, but Chris, I wanted to know from you, you have been in your position now for about 6 months, 8 months. Do you feel like with your position here at church that you can also take on the responsibilities of an elder and still parent and disciple your children in an effective way? And does your wife agree too?
Maybe I should hand the microphone back to the recording. I love the question. Yes is a short answer. So through these 8 months, I've still been working at Reed's 5 to 10 hours a week, and that's now done. I was done with that transition as of December 31st. So that gave me those many hours in a week to spend on what I should be spending on. And yeah, I mean, there's a laundry list of reasons why this works a whole lot better. But mostly, because I started elder in training this time last year. Yeah, so before I had even officially applied for a CA position, I knew that God was calling me to a deeper level of commitment and service to the church, and elder was just one part of it. So great question.
Not exactly your question was to him understandably, but for the benefit of the congregation. The elder board did discuss the load on Chris and whether or not that would be a right course of action at this time. No questions about his character, grasp of biblical theology or any of that, but we had that discussion in summertime, revisited in late autumn, and everybody felt positive about moving forward with that. So just for everybody's awareness, it was discussed at the old board at length, so.
Okay, could I have a motion to accept Stephen and Chris as full elders? Reno. I'll make that motion. Reno Wells makes that motion, and Kim Puffer seconds. She got before you, just second. Any other discussion on this? If not, mark your ballots.
So right.
Is Stephen and Chris collecting a conflict of interest?
Stephen, you got your extra ballots in your pocket?
Oh, good. Okay. All right. While they're counting, and oh, good. Vanna White will be bringing up the last things that we voted on.
Updates from the ballot box. Pinks were, I can't remember the order. What did we do so far? Leadership? Yep. No, the positions first. So CE director and worship intern were approved. Woo!
Yep.
And then the ministry team leaders all approved as well. Woo!
Okay, so they're counting the elder team, and at this point, I'm going to ask Tina to come up, please, and present our budget, which I might add, we worked on for about 5 months.
We always try to start early in the year as possible. But, so you have the budget in your packet. I'll have you turn to that. And it looks, last page, thank you. And it looks really similar in format to the one we did last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it with a little bit of explanation on some of the line items. First of all, I want to let you know our budget last year was $624,000. This year we are estimating $655,500. So advertising and communications, we're estimating $2,500. This is a separate line item this year. In past years, that has been built into, I think some of it was in evangelism. Was that right, Lexi? Okay. Contingency funds of $9,085. It got a little extra $85 just so we could round out the $655,000. But this is for whatever happens that we haven't estimated for. It's kind of how it goes, because I guarantee you there's always something. And come mid-year, we'll look at this and see if we've needed to use any of it. If not, it might give us an opportunity to reallocate where that money goes. Children's education, and this is nursery through 5th grade at $11,125. Compassion, which includes our women who do quilters and shawls, of $22,000. Discipleship, which includes small groups, library, and family ministry at $7,900. Elder guest speaker of $11,000. Last year, this was $6,000 for the elders guest speaker, but this year we added an additional $5,000 to accommodate the call of our upcoming new pastor. So it's typical that the inviting church would cover expenses to get them here to check out the church, interview, bring their family, those types of expenses. Outreach and evangelism, this typically is about a $4,000 budget, but it has been a dormant ministry. So we're excited that there'll be active leader this year and a ministry team because we need outreach and we need to do it in a big way. So excited about that. Facility and vehicles, $70,440. This year we've put in there also our insurances. I'm going to say just off my hip that it's about $11,000, $12,000 a year just to insure our buildings. There's also some money in there for a couple other projects, like maybe resurfacing the parking lot, new concrete steps. Has anybody noticed those? We need some new concrete steps. Fellowship, $7,000. These are our meals, our Sunday morning gatherings, refreshments. Finance team usually had a zero. We've usually had zero, but we've moved just some of the expenses. So it's not new. We've just moved them to the finance team. So these would be professional fees that we would pay out of pocket. And global outreach, we have set a budget for them of 10% of our goal. So they'd be $65,500, which is about $5,000 more than last year. So we're excited about that. Office expenses, $18,000. Staffing, and this our estimate is, and a budget is a guideline. It is an estimate. It is not ever really concrete. We've estimated that our new pastor would be on board by June. So in our staffing budget includes these new positions that you have approved, plus hopefully our new pastor would be on board by June. United Youth Group at $13,950 and worship expenses of $13,000. So that totals $655,500. You'll see on the bottom there our general giving. So in the last few years, we've set our budget based off a 3-year average. So we've looked at what happened in this case would be what was our giving total in 2021, what was it in 2022, and we always have to estimate the current year. What do we think it would be in 2023? Because the year hasn't ended, but yet we need to get a budget in order. So we are estimating $612,000 just in tithing, giving alone. We estimate $8,500 in rental income, and we are awaiting a tax credit of $35,000, and this is called an employee retention tax credit. And this came to our knowledge, I don't know how many months ago, but it was in 2023. We were at my husband's cousin's house who has a pastor, and he said, hey, you ever heard of the new tax credit called ERC? And I'm like, no, what's that about? So it is a COVID program, and we checked into it. We did use the services of an agency, which cost us a couple $1,000. But it is a tax credit given to any entities, including a nonprofit, that fall under certain categories. And one of the categories that we fell under during COVID is that we were required to shut down. So this is a compensation, a tax credit of wages paid out with a really big formula that came up to $35,000. So praises for that. And that will come to us in probably up to 5 different increments because it covered different quarters of 2020 and 2021, and maybe a little bit of 2022. So that total is $65,500. And one of the questions we came up with is, well, that's considerably higher than our last year's budget, which we didn't meet, but we didn't have these ERC funds coming in, and last year we didn't take into account in our budget our rental income, which we expect to still have. So, any questions? Yes.
The elder,
I'm sorry, under the elder and the guest speaker, for the new pastor, I'm just kind of wondering, what do we really provide? Do we assist them with their relocation expenses, moving expenses, things like that?
Yes.
Is that it? Is that all in your 11,000 there?
Yes. I mean, do you want to speak into that, Chris, at all? Or? Yeah, Chris will speak into that a little bit.
So the 11,000, that includes just well, I should go up front. That includes primarily the search process of just getting individual here multiple times, getting their family here, whether it's flights, vehicles, hotel rooms, per diem, all that stuff, just to get them here. As part of the salary budget line item, there is funds available for actual relocation. And I think it was like up to $3,000 or something like that. So we're trying to provide service to make sure it's as easy a transition to get here as they can. Good question, Bill.
Okay. Thank you.
Should have started over here.
So I really want to make sure that we can sustain the new people we are trying to bring on board in the new positions, because you said the staffing on the budget, you started the payout for the staffing in June. So that means the next year, what is our budget increase going to be? I know that we need to step out in faith sometimes, but I also want to make sure that we aren't going to be over hiring based on what we've had.
Yeah, really good question. And we talked about this a lot. Do you want to talk about it?
ahead.
Okay.
Go
So I get excited sometimes. Us nerds.
We like numbers.
Yep,
and,
yep.
Yeah.
So part of that too is Ken's salary that will be stopping once we are done with him. I love you, Ken. I mean that in the best way. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect, like Tina said before, in the 2023 budget that closed, we had a surplus of $92,000. So those items, along with Ken's encouragement of we are a church that is following the Lord, and we do have to step out in faith, that's the part that Tina and I we're the numbers people, and it's like, oh, okay, that's, yes, Lord, we love you, we trust you, we know that we are following his will. So just like the old movie, Field of Dreams down in Iowa, if you build it, they will come, is kind of what I'm hoping for. But along with that, in realistic terms, having good quality sustaining ministry, and right now, if we're being 100% honest, like Kara said, our doors are wide open for more helpers to come help. And if we can sustain good help, good people here, typically research shows people will come along with that. So does that help answer that? Yes, that will help.
Good question. Very
yep.
good. Ben, we're just about done.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
Maybe I missed the last meeting, so I don't know if this is already discussed, but I don't know where in the stage of a future building plan we are. Evidently, some money came in, and I assume the money that came in that is set aside for that obviously was dedicated for that, so not part of a budget that you're speaking of now. With anticipation of something somewhere on the horizon, does that stuff essentially never come into the budget? Or, in some personal budgets or things you would plan for those things? Obviously, this isn't a personal budget, but that building project, does that impact, or should it impact, or will it impact a standard budget in any way?
Really good question as well. And I can jump in because I'm stuck in the numbers all day. Yes, we do need to be looking at that, and that is why Tina and I don't like having $500,000 in the bank. As a church, it is not our job to sit on money. It is our job to do good ministry. And so with that, we, this last year in the finance team, said, what are we doing with all this money? And we were checked as a team, and with encouragement of others and by God, of if you go out to start a building and you don't have any money, you are foolish. So planning ahead and looking at that future, we don't know what that building project is yet. Part of, and I think I had it in my report, and others have alluded to it, is we are starting a new building team committee again this year to pick up where we left off 3, 4, 5 years ago when we were looking at this originally, to see what do we have currently, what do we need to expand if we're gonna grow. Ken's thing that he always says is, what are you gonna do if you double in size in ministry? So we need to be prepared for that. So part of investing in CIF, not only is that good business because that's just operational funds as a backdrop, they also will work with us on a future building project. So I have a template kind of lined out for the year of what are we gonna do for a building project. And I'm just going off of my memory, but it was like by semi-annual business meeting, we should know, all right, here's where we're at, and here's what we should be looking at in the future, whether it's a whole new building, an addition onto this one or whatnot. And then by this time next year, we should be really seriously looking at an actual blueprint of a new building, whatever that is, either here or addition or whatnot. So having that money pre-set aside is part one. Part two is growth and hoping that people will support the mission enough and support what we're doing to be able to afford a new building. And I've been talking with CIF of how much does it cost, what does a mortgage payment look like? Because a new building, ballpark, you're looking $2 to $3 million, ballpark, if not more. So a monthly mortgage payment, I think you want to say 20 to 30 grand. And that's the other thing in my mind of, yeah, we have a $92,000 surplus in 2023. That's something that we could use those funds for in the future. So this budget is weird with the COVID ERC money. We had a really good conversation as an elder team and a ministry team as well, saying we're not relying on this money to continue on. Obviously, it's a one-time deal, but we are, again, stepping out in faith of we're going to continue to get the funds in, people are going to support the ministry, and we're going to need room to grow. Who was here first service of Christmas Eve? We were jam-packed. We were overflowing, and so that for me was kind of really the nudge that I needed of, okay, if people actually come that are in the community that consider this a home church, we are bursting at the seams and we need more space. So that was a really long answer. I'm sorry. Did that answer the question, Ben? Okay, good. That's what I was hoping you were going to do. If you just stop listening and just smile and nod. Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Is there any other question? Oh, there we go, in the back.
Before that, Ben, I'm going to follow up just a little bit on yours with CIF, which happens to be the institution that we borrowed money from to build this church. So we have a relationship with them. It's a long time ago, but they also help us with the fundraising aspect of it. So as soon as we get going, they will come in and help us with the fundraising aspect so that we're not looking at immediately having a loan of $2 million and a horrific monthly payment. All that would be down, or we would have enough promises throughout the next 3 years in order to make it a very doable payment. So I just wanted to say that they help us with the fundraising aspect too.
And they have said if reports or if trends go as they have been, you can estimate 2 to 3 times your annual budget for a giving campaign. So if our annual budget's $600,000, rough numbers, we're looking at $1.2 million of just a giving campaign that we could get as seed money as well.
Okay, yep.
And I just want to, we have a question back here. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just a quick question. With that money that we have sitting there, is the church allowed to invest that so that builds moving forward?
Yes. Yes, we've researched versus over a typical bank, you mean? Yes, and we have done that. We have invested, CIF is like above and beyond that. Also, Citizens Financial with John Martin also. Yep, and we're getting some higher returns.
So with the CD, there's two CDs that are dedicated building funds. The CIF, is that building fund or is that just investment? Because one of Ben's questions was that, do we have money sitting there for building as well as money we're putting in for this budget? But we do have, if I'm calculating this, dedicated building fund, First National, and the other two dedicated building funds is about 150,000. And then if the CIF is also building fund, that's 270,000 we already have for building fund.
Right, and it has it, you might not say building fund at this time. It was money put aside.
It does say building fund.
No, but I mean for this, the CIF, yeah, doesn't specify that,
Yep.
but intent.
Yeah,
Right.
$250,000 already. So again, God's blessings.
Yeah, and I want to remind you, we have zero debt. It would be great to go into a new building with zero debt, right? Just to keep the trend rolling, yeah. All right, any other questions? Zero. Love to keep it that way, God willing. Okay. Go ahead and lead them through that.
Yeah, I had a thought. Oh, we are not putting anything in the budget this year for building fund. Last year we did. We had X amount of dollars that we had in the budget to put towards the building fund. This year it's not in there. So, but we do have 92,000. So, anyway, if over and above what you're giving right now, you want to put to the building fund, mark that on your check. We'll not turn it away. We'll gladly accept it. Anything we can get it in advance is a boon. It's a boon. Okay, any other questions or comments on our budget? Like I said, we put a lot of time into it because there was a lot of unknowns. You know, when we get started, you know, the pastor position, it's like when, how much, you know, different things like that. So there was just a lot of work gone into it, and the finance team did just a fantastic job on it. Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the budget at $655,500. Sarah Robinson is making that motion. Is there a second? Lexi Fleming does a second. Any other discussion? If not, mark your green ballots, please. Thank you. Neon green, right. As the winter and spring progresses, we'll talk more about our Deeper Life Bible Camp that'll be coming up. We are excited as a board to be working on all the programming for the summer. Again, we always look for volunteers, and the volunteer aspect is 1 week at a time. We're not looking at a whole summer. And we have from kitchen help to counselors, nursing, craft people, all sorts of different things. And you get wonderful housing and great food and a little stipend. So there's that. And I do want to thank you all before Mark comes up and gives food away. I want to thank you for allowing me to be the chairman for the last 2 terms, the last 4 years. It wasn't what I kind of wanted when I took it, but God has been good and God has been gracious, and so have you as a body of believers, as a congregation. And I do thank you so much. I am looking forward to being done in about 5 minutes. And but that doesn't mean I'm going to be sitting in a chair and doing nothing, because that's just not me. And if I get frustrated because people don't volunteer, it's because I'll volunteer. I'm a volunteer person, so. Yeah. Except kids. I don't do kids. Yeah, so anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Mark, you want to come up, and then hopefully I'll have the number crunchers give me some numbers.
Chris just notified me, Chris and Stephen are approved wholeheartedly for the elder board, so thank you for stepping forward in that capacity. We're thankful. And, you know, just to repeat a line from yesterday's sermon, I've been doing ministry for a while, and I'm the kind of guy who collects ministries gone haywire stories. I've got a file full of them. But I want you to know I've got a lot thicker file, more files on people who've served faithfully and been a blessing to people in their community and their church. And so thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, others serving. Great is your reward in heaven. And that goes for everybody, including the nursery workers and everybody else. Because for real, there ain't enough dollars down here on earth. Great is your reward in heaven. You have served the body of Christ, the Lord's flock. So thank you for what you do, and for those willing to step forward in the year ahead. Thank you. We appreciate it. We do. And the Lord sees your labor and hears your prayers. So, AJ, would you come up and help me out for just a moment? I need 3 numbers drawn. Number 36.
Number 36, and if I can't read it, I get it. Jason Adams.
Number 26.
Shirley Lukes.
Oh, she's a repeat winner. 54.
I get it, I cannot read this.
Come on up, Shirley. Come on up.
And it's not Reba, so. Yeah.
John Sparks.
Enjoy your breakfast.
Assuming JK is John Sparks.
Okay, just an update, everything that we voted on passed. So we're good to go. Congratulations to our new ministry team leaders, our new elders, the new positions, and especially the new members. We're so glad to have you guys part of us. I just really appreciate that. So if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Approved. Go in peace. Thank you so much. Yeah.